Good catch if I say so myself. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts and I hope you're doing okay. Now I did a video a little while ago with seahorses and I made candlestick holders. Now I'm not keen on candlestick holders made of resin to hold candles because a candle will burn down into the resin will get hot and give off fumes, and I'm not keen on that. I don't think it's very safe. But if you put a liner in, like a metal piece, then it's safer in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Anyway, I used these little metal liners inside the candlestick. I glued them in and I feel that that made it safer. Now I've got a whole pack of these little metal liners and I wondered how I could use these in moulds without them being candlestick holders to make them into candlestick holders. So I'm going to have a go at making candlestick holders out of ordinary 3D moulds, and yeah, let's see how I get on with that one. So if you saw Friday's video, these are the little candlestick pieces that I bought from Amazon, and they are linked in the description box below, as well as in my Amazon storefront, which is at the bottom of the description box. They're metal and you can get them in several different colours, and I chose black. Now I'm going to use Let's Resin Silicone for the next part. I do have a discount code in several countries for Let's Resin, and that will be in the description box below too. And I'm going to fill up these candlestick holder parts. I want it to go up past the rim so that the silicone sits above it. So it's a very thin layer of silicone right across the top. Now I did think that it would be best to have a rounded top, but that would take a little bit of ingenuity. So on this occasion, I'm just going with flat. I let them cure overnight, and in the end, I have kind of silicone inserts, if you like, with a metal casing. So I had a rummage through my 3D silicone moulds, and I came up with 7 different moulds which were capable of taking these inserts in. Now the hardest part about this is getting these little candlestick pieces inside the mould straight. That is by far the hardest bit of doing this. Now with a clear mould you can actually see on the outside whether it's straight or not. I thought this one was. Looks straight to me. Who knows? Now I had 3 matte skull moulds that I've had for a long time, and we're talking years. I think I bought them as soap moulds, but I'm not 100% sure. But at the time I thought they would be brilliant for resin, and I've been using them for resin ever since. I don't use them often, but I absolutely love them. And because they're black, it's very difficult to see whether those candle bits are straight. Not only that, but they sit in a frame, and you have to try and make sure that the mould itself sits straight in the frame, which again is no easy feat. But I do love these moulds, so I'm going to use them. So once you've got your candle pieces in the mould, don't touch it. Just let them sit. Try not to touch it at all. I really do think I should make my own moulds of these pieces because I like them so much. Maybe that's a project for the future. If you've got a clear mould, it is easier to centre these little candle pieces. But again, once you put them in there and you know you've got them straight, just leave them alone. Now I need to fill these pieces with resin. So I got out some colours from Resin Supplies Den. Resin Supplies Den is a little Facebook group here in the UK, and I'll put their link in the description box below. These colours are non-sync Auroras, if I can say that. Auroras. And I haven't tried them before, so let's give them a try. I'm going to use Estoyo resin for this one. I have a 15% discount code for Estoyo, and the link will be in the description box below. I'm using the Estoyo automated mixer. This is their upgraded version where you can push AI and it goes back and forward and does it all for you, and you can just walk away. It's also rechargeable, so that really saves on batteries. I've used a large mixing cup here because I'm making a large amount. And even though the mixer is quite small, it mixed it really well, but you still need to scrape the sides and the bottom and just mix in that little bit that you've scraped. So I'm using these 3 colours. I have no clue what colours they're going to be because the packets don't really give the colour away, and the name doesn't either, as they're all numbered. But this one looks greenish. Now these moulds are matte moulds, so I know it's going to give a matte finish, but I really like Aurora's in matte finish. Do you remember the mini that I made? I'll link that one in the top right hand corner if you haven't seen it. I loved it. And make sure I go well round the mould inside with a micro brush to try and get rid of any lodged bubbles, and I fill it up to the top almost. I do leave a little bit of room. Now this is where I decided that this one isn't actually quite straight, but I've filled it now, so there's not a lot I can do about it. Leave it, Wendy, because if you don't, you'll mess it up. I've put the powders in the bottom of a mixing cup, and they're dry powders, so they can catch air when you put them in. So I've left it a little while so that the bubbles can be released before I'm mixing it properly. So this one looks kind of goldy pink. That's interesting. And I think the other ones are blue. I do have a wide range of colours and resin supplies down, and I've just picked these at random. That's actually a really nice orangey colour, isn't it? Orangey red, gorgeous. Again, get rid of any stuck bubbles. I do prefer to put pieces like this in my pressure pot, but I know a lot of you don't have a pressure pot, so I try to avoid using a pressure pot in my videos, even though I've got one and I prefer to use it. I just want you to see that you don't have to have one, but if you do get one, they are amazing. And this one is definitely a blue. Non-sync Auroras are definitely a thing at the moment. I see a lot of creators on Instagram using them, and more companies are coming up with their own versions of them. Very brightly coloured, beautiful effects, and they are really nice to use. I squirt them with isopropyl alcohol and I move on to the next one. Again, I'm using a non-sync Aurora. This one's numbered COS 302. And I'm just adding this one to the rest of the resin that I've already got made up in the jug. Now I thought I'd do something different with this one. Aurora colours are a little like ghost pigments. They react differently to light. So I'm pouring a little bit into a tiny mixing cup, and I'm adding a tiny amount of black. Now it is, you can see it's tiny, but look what it does to that colour. So at this point, this resin was poured and mixed about 20 minutes ago. So it's quite warm. So I thought I'd pour that little part, that little black mix, into the main body and do just a swirl in there. I didn't know how this was going to come out, and I thought it was worth trying. So I'm pouring that into the sphere mould. That's an Estoyo sphere mould, which are really good quality, by the way. I wasn't sure whether I'd have enough of this resin, but when it came to scraping the container, it was perfect, which was definitely more luck than judgment. But don't tell anyone. Now by this point I actually poured too much in the mould, and I had to take a little bit out with a cotton bud, because if you spray it with isopropyl alcohol, it will run over the side because it breaks the surface tension. Now I've mixed up some more resin, and I decided to use some of Emma's pigments. You know I love Emma's pigments. This is Eclipse. Now Emma's pigments are really high priced, and I wouldn't suggest for 1 minute. They are designed to put into resin, but I think they would work just as well as the non-sync Auroras. So I'm going to try this one out. I didn't have enough resin, so I added a little bit more to the cup, and I'm just up to the line where I want it to be. These two little moulds are toadstool or mushroom moulds. I only want the top part filled with this mix. The rest is going to be a black base. I squirt it with isopropyl alcohol. Then I use a bent piece of wire that has kind of a tennis racket end, and I can go around the inside of the lip and bring out any bubbles that are stuck from that lip. I think they were Christmas tree hangers. I use them a lot. Now with the last one, I'm going to try out the dark matter, which is again one of Emma's colours, and I absolutely love this colour. It's a gorgeous blue purple, absolutely gorgeous. Now it looks like I'm getting a lot of powder from that little container, but I don't think there's much there at all really. But I wanted to give it a good colour, and I'm not going to waste any of this. So when it gets up to the lip, I just keep pouring the rest of the resin I have in the cup. And I figured, you know what, it doesn't matter if it's past that lip. The black will still work. It'll still be a black base. And I give them all a good squirt with isopropyl alcohol. About 4 hours later, I can put some black polyurethane resin on the base of these toadstool moulds. This is MB fiberglass black polyurethane resin, and I bought this myself, but I will put the link in the description box below. I'm just going to top up these 2 toadstool moulds, and when I realised I have a little bit of resin left, I decided to put the black underneath the skulls too. I have it, I might as well use it. I do believe there's a little bit of room in all 3 of these moulds. Barely. I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you if you subscribe to my channel. It's growing quite nicely and I'm almost at 30,000. So thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed already, maybe you would consider doing so. It doesn't cost anything. It does help my channel out, and I really do appreciate every one of you. So the following day I can demould, and I'm going to start by demoulding the mushrooms. These were 2 made with Emma's pigments and the black polyurethane. And I'm using a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to loosen the piece from the mould. Just twisting it around in my hands makes it so much easier, though it can be a little slippery, but it doesn't take long. Well, I was hoping for a big pop there, but that didn't happen. I'll deal with taking the centres out in a moment. I just want to get the other one demoulded too. Again, using exactly the same method with the isopropyl alcohol, and it comes right out. And I am struck by the blue of this colour, this dark matter. It's so gorgeous. So now it comes to taking the middle parts out, and with this one, it was simple. The middle did exactly as I wanted it to. I think it's a little off centre though, not completely straight. The other one has a hard resin cap, where the resin had gone underneath the silicone insert. But a little bit of levering, heat would help here, but it literally comes straight off, revealing the centre where I can take the silicone out of the metal plate. Now it will need to be trimmed up around the outside edge, but a sharp blade could do that really easily. When I bought these metal candlestick pieces from Amazon, they came in lots of different colours. I chose black so that it would reflect any colour around it, and I really think it did its job with these pieces. The silicone comes out lovely, and I now have a mushroom candlestick holder. Moving on to the sphere, and it looks like the candlestick part is dead centre, from the outside at least. Again, using isopropyl alcohol to release it. Like I said, it does make it slippery. Good catch, if I say so myself. I surprised myself with that one. Usually they go flying across the room. Anyway, I've still got it in my hands, luckily. So now let's get it out of the mould. And this was the one where I put a little bit of black in there and swirled it around. Well, I held on tight to it and I've managed to get it out of the mould. The middle part was a little bit awkward to get hold of with this one, so I used a pair of pliers. I ruined the inside part, but it doesn't matter. It's out. So the last three are the skulls. And I didn't know which one to do first. So I thought I'd do the cup trick and just pick one at random. Remember, these moulds are matte. And where I've used them before, I've put them in the pressure pot and they do come out so much better in a pressure pot because there's lots of places that can harbour bubbles and you tend to get micro bubbles down the back of the head, especially when you don't want to put anything in there to dislodge the insert that you've put in for the candle. The colours are beautiful though. This green is stunning. Yeah, that did just come out of my mouth. I don't quite know why. And where it's reflecting from the black at the base, they are really vibrant colours. Definitely glad I put the black on the base. Now I just need to take off the little bits of resin that have gone underneath the silicone. I'm using pliers, but heat would work wonders here. I wanted to show you that it was possible just to pop those pieces off. Once they are all trimmed up, they are ready for candles. I did take the pink one to the garage and buff it up to a shine. I also wanted to see if you could buff up pieces that have come out of matte moulds into a shine, and yes you can. I'm not sure it's done it any favours though because I prefer them matte. All these pieces were fun to make. The colours are extraordinary in all of them. And now we know we can make candlestick holders out of pretty much any 3D mould. How cool is that? Emma's colours worked beautifully when they were added to the clear resin, especially that dark matter. I'm not too sure about the black that I added to the sphere, but it's still beautiful. And I've got some really nice white candles to go with these. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this one and I hope you've got something out of it. It's been a lot of fun to make. Come back and see me next week because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. Have a great week. Happy crafting and bye for now.